Going downstream till the levee gives in, and my dreams are wearing thin.
Hello and welcome to the news, commencing the week of the 21st. So, this week a lot has happened. Protests have erupted in Saudi Arabia, America's closest allies, over the plans to behead 50 people a day. Obviously, America saying that the terrorists in the Middle East beheading people is completely disgusting and distraught and makes them the most dangerous people alive. But Saudi Arabia is their closest ally, and if anything, this has institutionalized terrorism. But yet they won't have any sanctions placed against them because of the fact that they are, of course, with vested interests, a great ally to one of the biggest nations on Earth, America. So, SpaceX rocket, which was launched from Florida in June, has washed up on the Scilly Isles, and this means that space debris is adding to the massive amount of rubbish that we've caused in this entirety of the planet. Even in space, we've got space debris everywhere. We've got shit ejected from the space shuttles just floating around Earth. There have been estimates of around 4 kilos of space shit just floating around. There's probably a hell of a lot more. I mean, it's not like you weigh your shit when you flush it. I mean, you could ask Neil Armstrong if he did, if you really want, but I don't think he did. It's just a load of shit, really, isn't it? Richard Branson's Virgin Care, which he's created recently in a bid for privatising the NHS, for gaining the deal to privatise it in his own name, as he has done with a lot of train lines in the country. He's already running 230 NHS and social care services, which means the externalised privatisation that they said would never happen has already happened. Grant Sharps, who used to be the Minister for Internal Development, has had to resign over the fact that he bullied somebody to death. Like, he and his friend, another Tory party member, bullied a man until he committed suicide. This was completely ignored back in the earlies of this year by David Cameron when he was asked about all of these bullying allegations. He said that there's no chance of it happening, of it being true. Although it obviously has come out to be true, which is really terrible because this person has just been killed by some Tory bastard. Some schoolboy-like immaturity, as always stated from the Tory party. The ex-mayor of London, Ken Livingstone, has suggested that Blair's destabilisation of the Middle East and Iraq caused the 7/7 attacks of his, later reign. This is probably quite true because the destabilisation in Iraq previously caused the Al-Qaeda to come into fruition. The destabilisation in Israel caused Hamas and Hezbollah. The destabilisation caused by America after the 9/11 attacks caused ISIS to form. And so saying that this caused a terrorist attack is pretty accurate. So the first news story is on Jeremy Corbyn, and he's been under scrutiny for disobeying popular opinion of UK bombing Syria. These supposedly indisputable evidence and claims that David Cameron has been making about how we definitely need to go bomb Syria, added to the additional 5 nations which are already helping to bomb Syria. Nothing has happened good since they started bombing Syria. I mean, the entire war was at a way better place back when it first started, and at this point, after bombings and bombings and bombings by France, bombings by America, bombings by Putin, bombings by Assad, bombings by Al-Qaeda, bombings by the Free Syrian Army, bombings by ISIS, bombings by the Kurds, bombings by everybody, bombings by Turkey, Saudi Arabia, everybody has been bombing, and all it's done is cause the entire conflict to inflate massively. So him being under scrutiny for saying that UK shouldn't be bombing Syria is really quite silly. He's also been receiving threats of resignation from some of his cabinet ministers. This could mean replacement by them with Corbynites. Obviously, the entirety of the party in the Commons is in dispute over Corbyn because a lot of them are Blairites. However, they aren't supported that much by the public. The amount of people supporting Corbyn versus the amount of people supporting the Blairites in the Labour Party forum kind of area is way outweighed. The Corbynites just seem to have this massive hammer of thought and actual fucking reasoned responses to everything, and then the Blairites just keep spewing the same stuff that the Daily Mail seems to spew. So really, it just seems like there's a load of shit being thrown in by monkeys, to be honest, just in its general direction. Just like, get some monkeys, tell them to throw shit at the left wing, and that's what's happening. Ed Miliband has supposedly stated to an anti-Corbynite called Graham Stringer that I bet you didn't think things could actually get worse. And of course, some people have been saying, oh, this is really terrible. This means that even Miliband thinks he's an idiot. Possibly. Or alternatively, because of the fact that Graham Stringer is quite a right-wing Labour Party member, it could mean that he's saying, I was probably going to depose you in the first place, I was probably going to replace you, but now look at your chances. You've got Corbyn. Which it seems a lot more likely, especially since the statement that he released right after in vehement support for Corbyn and his policies, believing him to be a far better candidate for the Prime Minister than he was. He says stuff like, oh, well, it's all about the electorate, what they think, what they believe, and that was the mistake that I made. And it isn't the mistake that Corbyn's making, because of the fact that he's gotten this mass support from other parties rejoining the Labour Party after having left. So the next news item is on Putin. Putin has been under a lot of attack recently, especially in real, actual military attack. A military plane was bombed over Turkey by Turkey, and Turkey is to receive energy sanctions in return. This is quite terrible that Turkey would do something so stupid, because the entirety of the war already was in massive instability, and now one of the biggest nations, one of the nations that supported it from the very beginning, from right after America joined, are bombing somebody who isn't anything to do with what the war was meant to be about. They're bombing Russia when they're all meant to be united in bombing ISIS. But bombing doesn't work anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. So a good thing that could possibly happen because of this is Putin threatening to pull out of the Syrian coalition. However, is this a good thing? We have to look a bit further than just saying they will stop bombing, because if Russia stopped bombing, then who will say that there need to be more bombs? David Cameron. And that will give his argument even more support and even more seemingly valid evidence. And therefore you'll be able to bomb even further than Putin ever would, because, well, Britain at this point are a very weak nation who believes they're very strong, so obviously we're going to throw a few more bombs than we should do. The next section, remember the victims. This is quite short this time, luckily. However, it does have the 50 beheadings per day in Saudi Arabia, the man who killed himself after being bullied by Tory idiots, and all the people in the Middle East who will be bombed probably by England if Corbyn doesn't get some kind of massive support against the idea of a war. So the next section, hope. 7-year-old Jack Swanson of Texas donates savings to local mosque after it had been vandalised, he was rewarded with an iPad that he was saving for, and the savings were the money that he put into helping the local mosque. The local mosque had been vandalised quite disgustingly. Somebody had gone outside of the mosque. Obviously they'd had some kind of curry or something, because they just exploded out of their ass all over it. And they pissed as well on the Quran. And it's the most disgusting thing. Don't go and look it up, because it is terrible pictures. But if you want to look up the actual articles, then go there, because that's a better place. Although they might still have the pictures of it. It's really gross. It's the fucking nerve of some right-wing idiots. Seriously. Sweden has unveiled its fossil fuel-free Sweden plan. And it's to be enacted by 2030 supposedly, and obviously this is on top of the fact that Oslo should be completely fossil fuel free within the next year or 2 years, as they said. Alex Asani, Syrian refugee in Germany, has been cooking and handing out food at his local train station as a thank you to the Germans for welcoming him in. And this is as opposed to the fact that people in power, the establishment in Germany like Angela Merkel, have been sending some refugees away, especially those ones that are from Afghanistan, in which there is still a conflict happening. People still do need refuge from there, but yet she sent them back anyway. Kentucky offers a deal of well, if you get a parking ticket, then you can pay by giving food to the homeless. This is one of the best things that I've seen in quite a while happening. Because, obviously a lot of good has happened from programs that have previously been implemented, such as in Virginia, where they completely removed, well, they homed every single homeless veteran. But this has only just been, started, basically. And it seems like it could do a lot of good. So let's just hope that does as much good as the other programs that we've seen recently come out of the works and shown that they did do a lot of help to the kind of areas that needed help. So, more than 400 dolphins and porpoises have been swimming in the Thames. This is incredible, because the Thames has been one of the most polluted, rivers, especially at its length, in, at least the Western world. Maybe not China, because China is in massive pollution. But still, the fact that it can have wildlife come back to it again means that there is chance, that is, however insignificant, that we could stop this whole global warming bullshit, stop destroying the lives of the animals and stuff around us that are being killed by our misuse of the world. So the US government are going to retire all research chimpanzees, and chimpanzees obviously being researched on for neural examinations, such as the kind of, oh, I wonder if you give them this drug, whether they'll be smarter than if you don't, or I wonder if they can learn to speak like humans, or I wonder if they can learn language at all like humans. Obviously, some of these have been proven and disproven over the years, but now they've completely destroyed the research, they've completely destroyed the idea of researching on chimpanzees. This is a very good thing, because chimpanzees are not, they need to really be where they belong, the environment, the outside, not in a research lab, being given drugs all the time, being given hair products and stuff to test it on them. It just doesn't make any sense to be doing that. It hurts a lot more than it helps. But that's a good thing that it stopped. 5 Tasmanian miners that were stuck in a mine for 41 days have finally been freed this week, which is another really good thing. And that's on top of a few years ago, the bigger one, which was the Chilean miners' escapade. So it's a good thing that things like this still happen. They were being fed by the locals quite regularly, so they didn't end up cannibalizing each other, such as games like Until Dawn would suggest. So I don't think they are going to be the winner Pichu. But Snoop Dogg continues his annual giveaway in South Carolina, which means his annual giveaway on Turkey Day / Thanksgiving, whatever you want to call it. And he's given out 1,500 turkeys and hugs to the locals this time. This is a good thing, because there's been a lot of bad happening on this Black Friday. It's the most amount of money was paid this Black Friday, which is really bad, because it means more and more people are joining in the efforts, and that means more and more people are probably going to get injured and maybe even killed in the mass riot that coexists with the idea of Black Friday. President Yahya Jammeh of Gambia has illegalized female genital mutilation. He went for a few months to look in all the Qurans that he knew of and ask professional interpreters of the biblical text of the Quran, and he came back and said there's nothing at all in there saying it. And obviously this is true. There isn't. It's never been a thing that Muslims have been the ones to mutilate female genitals. It's been an African kind of tradition that just kind of pretended to be Muslim when Muslims took over the whole of North Africa. But it still happens everywhere else. It still happens in all the Christian countries that used to be part of empire, such as the French Empire, the British Empire, and such. That's the end of that section then. So we go into music. There's been a lot of good music. A hell of a lot. I decided to leave some of it out for other weeks because there was so much good. So let's start with Lower Than Atlantis' eponymous album. It's one of their earliest albums, well, one of their first albums, sorry, that was kind of weird, earliest, we're not in the future yet. They are quite a good indie rock band with a segmented brilliance, especially in the drumming. They have math rocky kind of drumming techniques in which they just kind of go and do what the fuck they want to, and it still sounds quite simple. Thunder Bitch's eponymous album has also been released, and that's really good garage punk rock if you're into like you know, Frank Iero's new band, the Collaboration or whatever. If you're into that kind of music, then you'll probably be into this. If you were into old pop punk, which is the garagey, punky stuff, then you would probably also be into this. Naguolo's Earth, which is kind of a strengthy backing and at times somewhat heavy indie hard rock. It's also quite good. I reckon you should check that out. Foo Fighters have released Saint Cecilia, which is an EP, and the title track is really good, but the other ones feel kind of piecemeal. Like they just kind of added them in because they felt like they couldn't just release a single, it seems, maybe. But it's the Foo Fighters, so I mean, the Saint Cecilia as a track is good. Go listen to it if you like the Foo Fighters. If you don't, then whatever. Doesn't matter that much, it's just music. Rocket Number 9, 2 Weeks. They're kind of a British math rock duo which take inspiration heavily from jazz. They're very weird because, well, it's kind of the math rock, the old math rock sound rather than the new math rock sound. The new math rock sound is clean and sounds like a good song kind of thing, but this is the old kind of, oh, we're just going to show off. This is an entire song of us showing off. Don't worry about it. But it is, yeah, I like songs like that because whilst they're not that great to listen to, you can take segments out and just kind of learn them and then become better on your instrument. It doesn't matter what instrument you have. You could even like learn guitar riffs on saxophone and on clarinet. You could learn the bass riffs, stuff like that. It doesn't, yeah, like, you understand. Anyway, the standout, All Them Witches, one of my favourite bands at the moment, have released back in October, sorry, Dying Surfer Meets His Maker, which is a brilliant psychedelic, like Nashville's psychedelia, infused with kind of the Black Sabbath lighter side. Oh, it's just great. If you like War Pigs, then you'll most definitely like All Them Witches. As in War Pigs, the song, not the entire era, because Paranoid is not so much like them, although they do have some sounds which are somewhat similar. For metal, we only have one track, and it is the standout. Skindred has released Volume, which is always good. It's always that great kind of rap, funk, metal kind of stuff. Yeah, that's what it's a reggae metal band, basically. Experimental, we only have one as well. Kneebody's Needleless, which has some jazz and some funk elements in it. It's strange and it's nice. If you like listening to the kind of experimental music that's good, then you'll probably like that. For pop, we have a little bit too. We have MRCH, Spin, and Highway Driving, and Validation, which are all singles that they've released mainly on SoundCloud. You can just go and look them up on SoundCloud, look them up. They have a website, and they're spelled just capitalize M, capitalize R, capitalize C, capitalize H, like merch without the E. They used to be called a different name, and they used to do completely different music, like indie pop music, which is like the most generic indie pop sound that you could have. But now they make kind of synthy modern take on 80s pop, which is quite. I like it a lot more than their old stuff, but some people do prefer indie pop to 80s pop anyway. So, Mi Amigo have released another thing, and this time it's a full album called Soda Lime Love. Yeah, it's really good indie pop. A good light indie pop with electronic elements, as ever. If you like Mi Amigo, then you'll probably like this. If you don't know who they are, check it out anyway. Cloves have released 13, which, again, it's the nice raspy light pop with the piano-infused backing, as ever. The standout for pop is Newton Faulkner's Human Love. I really like that. I just go look it up, okay? Anyway, this is the end of the video, so I hope you all have a good week as an entirety. This one's been quite long. Let's just hope that it isn't too boring. Okay, see you next time.